to use a confetti popper.
I got one of those party poppers, but it's
It doesn't work though. I have to text my roommate. Didn't really get confetti in the shot. Give me a sec. That's what I wanted. Now that I've made a mess of my room, a happy new year. So I thought it would be fun to make a New Year's video so that we can celebrate the end of 2020 together, say goodbye to this straight up bitch of a year, and enjoy some sparkly lights and hope for the best for next year. Let's truly start things off here and pour ourselves the only Squirrel Girl appropriate drink, of course, a pineapple flavored neutral. I actually got a sort of champagne glass for this from the dollar store for this video, so I hope you appreciate that. Feel free to pour yourself a glass of your favored alcoholic beverage or non-alcoholic beverage, whatever type of beverage you enjoy the most. To a new year, may it be glorious. May it be the greatest year we've ever lived. I'll always love you. And I will always love you. How have you been? How you been doing? Oh dear. How has the start of winter been treating you if you're in the northern hemisphere? I don't know what to talk about. I'm so off today. For a video that I planned to be chatty, I'm speechless. I think we're done, aren't we? I don't know. This is just gonna turn into a fail video. As usual, just a collection of my failures. This is actually really fun. Even when it's just a few. Yes, I got one in my drink. Now it's just stuck to the bottom. Ew, I think I tasted it. Ew. Probably gonna die. Oh my god, it actually dyed it pink. Or is that just my lipstick? No, it wasn't pink before. I'm trying to think about like what can I talk about? What's been going on? I've already made a video about the biggest event here at my house, which is the mouse, and I'm not gonna talk about it in this one. I've left myself with nothing. There's nothing else going on. The mouse is the only thing. I've been spending all my time in this room editing and watching stuff. Watching YouTube. Oh, let's talk about TV. Let's talk about TV. I have some recommendations, TV and documentaries, because I started going through this list that this YouTuber recommended. I'm just forgetting her name, but I will link her down below. Amandamaryanna. She's a film student in New York, and she made a video about her documentary recommendations, and I started going through the list, and I was just like, I was at a point where I felt like really useless and had too much free time, so I was like, this list suddenly gave me purpose. It was like, I need to watch this entire list. This was like an assignment that I had, some goal to reach towards, and I haven't finished it yet, but I've watched a bunch of them, and they're really, really good. Why don't we start with that? Oh wait, no. I don't need to make another video about that list because she's already made it, so I will obviously just link hers down below. Okay, let's talk about my TV recommendations, what I've been watching recently. Let's start with some of the somewhat lighter ones, but honestly, everything I've watched lately is like kind of dark, so just a bit of a warning there. Because for the majority of quarantine, I was watching a lot of YouTube, and then in the last like month or two, I started getting really back into TV and movies. Not as much movies, but I think that's my next phase. So the first show I came across that actually got me back into TV was Love and Anarchy. It's this Swedish show about maybe potentially an affair, but it's like just so different from any story like that I've seen before. If somebody had recommended me a show that was about an affair, I would have been like, sounds like soap opera-y. But this one's more of a dramedy. Like the tone is very interesting. It's very like kind of detached and also funny. But then also very heartfelt at times. So it's just like a wonderful combination of things. And I think it's a mini series because it seemed to kind of resolve at the end. So that was a really good one. I highly recommend. The next show I got into, I think, was Valeria. It's a Spanish show about these women in their 20s up to a bunch of shenanigans, and I gotta tell you, it's a really fun time. It may make you feel a little bit sad about not living in a time where we can like go and party and do things, but it helps you escape into that world if that's what you're craving. The next show that I watched, because everybody was talking about it, was The Crown. I had watched the first 2 seasons when they came out originally, and then once I heard that the cast was changing, I gave up. But I came back because everybody was talking about it, and I got completely addicted to it again, and it sent me off into Princess Diana deep dive once again. It's so interesting. Like, I think there's this inherent fascination with royalty, as much as, you know, you may feel like it's such a waste of money and time and resources, and like I think that's part of the reason why we're so fascinated, is because we're like, why does this exist still? We need to understand. And then we start looking into it, and then but of course you can't help being interested in people who have a very different lifestyle from you, people who have obscene amounts of money and live in castles. Like how can that not be somewhat interesting, that you're like at least a little bit curious to see like what their rooms look like, whatever. And then when you bring in all of this like scandal and personal drama and turmoil, like there's just so much tragedy in it. It's so like feels so elevated that kind of makes sense that we are interested in those stories, as against that institution as we may be. And then the next few shows I watched were, and here's where things got, actually The Crown was fairly heavy as well, but here's where things got a bit heavier. I watched The Queen's Gambit. I'm sure like probably everybody has watched that at this point, so I don't need to describe it really, but it's about this female chess player in the 60s and her tumultuous journey through that. But it was just, it was such a satisfying story to just like see someone kicking ass at something. Like, you know, that's like what we all want, to be really good at something. But then of course, reminding you of what being so good at one thing really ends up meaning, the sacrifices that need to be made to be so good at one thing. It reminded me of this essay I read, and now I'm gonna sound really fucking pretentious because it was a David Foster Wallace essay, where he kind of like followed around this tennis player at a tournament. It was an essay about tennis and about professional tennis players and what that kind of life is like and everything. And he just like really brought to the forefront of my mind how doing anything extraordinarily well is like such a sacrifice. You're basically saying no to everything else in life. This is something that I've obviously thought about before, but it never really clicked as much as when I read that essay. I do appreciate my all the normal aspects of my life, and I don't really want to sacrifice them, my time to just like be a human or see my friends or whatever. It's very much, it's like a deal with the devil kind of when you commit your whole life to one thing. And I feel like I've idealized it so much, being like extraordinary and being acknowledged for what you do, but it's good to remember that it's not, and again, this is cliche, but it usually isn't what it's cracked up to be. Oh my god, I don't know English. I think that's the phrase. Anyway, that was the longest tangent of all time, but I did succeed in being chatty with you there, so I'm glad we got that little chit chat in there. And that's all to say, Queen's Gambit is an excellent show. And very, very addictive and very entertaining. And the most recent show that I watched, and this one honestly I think is potentially the best TV show I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot because I have seen, should I count? I have a list here of all the TV shows I've watched, and I'm probably missing some. I also have the TV shows that I'm currently watching, like that I haven't finished or that are still going on, and then a list of to watch. But anyway, let's count the ones that I've actually seen and am currently watching. $56. I don't know if that's obscene or not. Let me know. Let me know if you keep track of the number of shows you watch. But anyway, I feel like I've seen a lot of really, really good shows, and this show blew me the fuck away, blew me right onto my ass, because I think it just had so many things that I love and am so interested in. It had this psychological aspect. It had very beautiful and like painterly cinematography. It felt like I was just watching a long movie. It felt meditative. It felt divine, honestly. There was a lot of like religious themes in there, and I thought about this while I was watching the show. Like, I think all my favorite movies all have something to do with religion or have that theme kind of in there. And I love like the heaviness and the high drama of those kinds of stories. So to give you some examples, The Great Beauty, an Italian movie by, I can't remember the director's name, and The Passion of Joan of Arc, which is a silent film from 1928. I had to watch it when I was doing a film minor in school, and like, I think I watched it in the library because I missed the class, and I had just like the most incredible experience in the library watching this movie, and I was in my own world. It was just like the most powerful thing I'd ever seen. Honestly, this might still be my number one. But yeah, so it's weird because like I don't consider myself religious, but I think I'm just so fascinated by the influence that it has on people's lives, that it still has in the world. Like, ooh, we are getting deep into it, aren't we? I think I've been talking for like an hour. And so just as things were getting really interesting, I think I'm gonna have to end this. Oh, but I never even told you what the show was. Oh my god. This show, that is my favorite show of all time, is called Ethos. It's on Netflix. It's a Turkish show. Highly recommend it. It does have some pretty dark subject matter, so just be aware of that. Make sure that you're emotionally ready for that, because I didn't know what was coming, because I didn't even really know what it was about, and then it just like fucking whoosh. Oh. We got really deep. We got really deep today. This turned into a strangely serious video, even though I was trying to be funny at the start. So thanks for hanging out with me. I am gonna try not to fall asleep now, and I'm gonna edit this video so that it can be ready for you all. And I really hope that you are at least having some hope for next year, looking forward to things getting better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for hanging out with me and saying goodbye to 2020 with me. And I will officially see you next year, the year 2021. Have a good one, folks. See you soon.